Hey, what is up? Workbringer here, and today I have my new legendary. I've had it for a little while actually, but it's the Shoulders here, Bulwark of the Righteous Fury. And essentially when I Avenger Shield, even with the Bounce talent, or Divine Shield, or Divine Toll rather, I get 30% extra from Shield of the Righteous, and its radius is increased by 6 yards. And I was wondering, how much does this affect DPS? Well, it like doubles my DPS. Sometimes it's a huge increase, and I didn't get this dropped for a while until they upped the drop rate. And I've been using this one, which is the kind of like general, like you get more Avenger Shield legendary. This is not as good. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. Much harder to keep threat with this one. This is the one. So I did a quick low-key miss of Tirna Scythe, and I'm going to do a commentary over it, but mostly looking at DPS and threat generation with it. So let's jump right in. Cool, so I've dropped the Feast, and we are getting into Mists, +3 maybe? This one's really low. Just to test the new Legendary, I don't want to do one that was too difficult. Though I've been running with it. Oh, it's Mist 3, yeah, that's pretty low. So our Hunter, I believe, is Night Fae, which makes sense, and is also like top DPS. So we're running in here, and that's a big power up of the Shield of the Righteous. You see the little buff on the bottom right there, and big damage right out of the gate. I pooled it actually. It took me a little to make sure that everything was going to line up there, but we like instantly hit 5k DPS into a pretty big group. I believe Shield of the Righteous is uncapped, so it's kind of bananas. It is fortified, not bursting on this low key, but we still take a lot of damage when I try to do like that was technically a double pull. So you'll see it there. It's the little green icon on the top right of like right over my holy power. When that pops up, it means that that legendary has been enabled. And out of the gate, I'm taking damage, but right there, there's a bit of it. And I think it's at 4 now, 5 stacks. Then I pulled it and then hit him with it. And so this is really just going to help with threat mostly, and of course just damage in general. I am taking significant damage. We're not really CCing / silencing some of these casts, so I'm getting free cast on is what I believe is happening. Over here, got to go free the friend. I'm not even sure who's in there, but now they're free. And Shield of the Righteous Legendary is incredible. So we are kind of sitting there praying for like the shield reset procs, and then I spend them immediately. And the cool thing about Shield of the Righteous is that it's off global cooldown. So I end up using 2 hands. Like I'm doing main rotation with my right hand on my mouse. And then if I'm really fast about it, I can just hit 4 with my left hand on the keyboard. So this confuses, or is this the pull that confuses me? Yeah, this is confusing me so bad. I'm like, how am I losing threat this bad? Like I thought maybe the H-Pal had bopped me. I'm just sitting here like, what is going on? And I'm like probably busting like offensive cooldowns. But essentially I gotta look at what it's called, but if you look at who has threat, it's the Primal Earth element. So Chow has unleashed his tanking Earth element, which is like, I think there's something similar for monks and DKs where like their pets or whatever will take aggro for the tank. You gotta warn it, brother. I had no idea that was happening. And like half the reason I'm running this low key is to just test threat and damage. So I was like, man, I'm in a terrible place. Here I just lost threat because I'm not focusing that one. And who's ever pumping it is pumping it. Either the Frost or the Hunter, either one. Again, I'm losing it on him too, so ouch. But overall, I've been running this legendary to buff up Shield of the Righteous from Avenger Shield, and it is amazing because Shield of the Righteous is your main defensive cooldown, or not a rotation, like mitigation as well, besides standing and consecration. So it feels pretty good to have it shoot fire like that, like it does, like you see there, and also just do big damage. So it's like I'm mitigating and doing damage. So it's kind of like if I don't know all the other tanks perfectly. Actually, it's kind of like Demon Hunter where they pop into the is it Fell Devastation and they turn into meta, so they get big defensive, and it's like is it uncapped AoE? I'm not sure, but it's pretty much the same thing. So we're just even more incentivized to bust the Shield of the Righteous. So I'm in love with it. I'm like top DPS half of the time. even on higher keys, because like mine's like continuous, mine's sustained, right? Like it needs no cooldowns. I'm sorry, I pulled these things out of the hunter's volley, so sorry, but they dropped this bramble burst, which is like this black slowing thing on the ground. So like you basically have to always be moving with these two. There's no standing still for me, and at higher keys you just die even faster to the black stuff. So basically, I could, a reasonable strategy would honestly be to just always be moving. Like look how many they've dropped on the ground already. It's kind of ridiculous. But this is a great group, despite being 3. I think people are just taking it easy. Like a 3 pugging it at this point. We're still like towards the end of the second week. I'm 190. These other people are probably at least 180 for the most part. I didn't sense any friction in this one. I'm taking big damage from the mobs, but that's just what happens on Fortified. Everything's like they're just 30% anima powered from Torghast the entire time. So if I don't go in with like Guardian of the Ancient Kings or something with like big damage reduction, I'm just going to be a little spiky. And we have a Holy Paladin healer, which I didn't even like notice the whole time, which is good because like I'm afraid to do Holy Paladin healing as an off spec. I'm thinking about it, but I'm like, I don't know. I've heard for Mythic Plus, the runs are like the fights are a little tighter, it's a lot smaller, so people aren't spread as much. We're like because spread healing cleave is kind of tough for an Holy Paladin, but I've run some. I think I've run a +6 or something. I've run some like a high for me anyway keys, and Holy Paladin's been fine. So it's probably just me being afraid. So anyway, this fight pretty not much to talk about. But looking at I have cleave here, right? So I'm like always hitting 2 people. So I'm getting to like 3.3k, and that feels pretty good. And that is that shield. That is this legendary. That is what's happening. I'm 190. This I guess I could try to run another exact dungeon the same, but I know it's a DPS increase. And that one, it's a little bit cheesy. It's not really a single target test because I'm always getting 2 shield procs off of both bosses, and then I'm shielding both of them. But my single target, which I now have the conduit for, the epic conduit, luckily, which is where if you judge someone, which is like frequent for single target, of course, then that puts a debuff on them instead of it being a buff for me. And then when I shield of righteous them, they take, I think it's 20% more. It's something pretty significant. So my shield of the righteous now just needs to get lined up. If I judge them and then avenging shield them, a shield, then we're good to go. Our poor Holy Paladin, I am not even attempting to help with the maze puzzle. That's just something I do. All I do to help, and I do believe it's a huge help, is I try to just tank it right on the pillar so that we can see it. In this case, I'm just face tanking these, but again, at a +3, even with Fortified at my gear level, if I'm just like mitigating it all and hodging someone who's doing like the spear attack, it's like, I'm okay. Sit in the consecration, face tank it. And, I just hope that the healer in most cases, or maybe hunter, especially if they're Beast Mastery. This is a MM Hunter, so they have to hard cast. But Beast Mastery Hunters, they just jumping around, throwing the Cobra shots, throwing the Bestial. I forget what it's called. I want to play Beastmaster Hunter. It looks so much fun. But yeah, I basically just sit at this column until someone sorts it out, and I'm just consistent with it, right? I'm just like, I'm always going to be sat at a column, going to help, with the mental workload. So there it is, jumping right in. I hit 5 on the legendary proc and hit him with the shield. And did I miss some or something? We're not hitting that high DPS, but I can consistently sit at first or second unless we have a fire mage and marksman hunter. As long as I can frontal cone everybody, right? As long as they're in front of me, like this is going to be a big one. Okay, they left. But if they're all just like stacked up really nicely, I just have like sustained AoE threat and damage, which is great. Now, if they start running around and become spread cleave, then I got to pick a direction, right? I pick the direction that has the most mobs and then shield in that direction. But yeah, huge increase. I remember reading on Wowhead, they were like, this is the top one for Mythic Plus. I was like, oh, how do you know? Like, I didn't test in beta, test like all the legendaries. But after running the Avenger shield one, that is like really underwhelming and kind of boring. And because you already randomly proc like Avenger shield, so I feel like you could like double proc and then lose the buff from it. and it's kind of hard to track. It's kind of it's not my favorite at all. But I wanted to test it, and I'm very happy because I didn't do beta just to test multiple legendaries. But this is it. There's just no question. It makes the whole rotation, well, plus Divine Toll, just like so fun. Like run in, Avenger Shield, then drop the Shield of the Righteous with 3 stacks, and then Divine Toll at 5 stacks. And you can do that in 2 globals. Plus Avenging Wrath, plus my like racial, like I'm pretty sure I can hit like 300k if I line those all up on like a 5-pack. And I haven't done it yet because I can usually do it with my 2 hands again. But again, Shield of the Righteous off global cooldown, you just push it. You can macro it with almost, I can basically macro it with everything, like macroing Divine Toll to immediately do Shield of the Righteous, like right after it. And if you have the Holy Power, which you will after a Divine Toll, it would just do them at the same time. I just do it manually at this point because sometimes I don't want that. I hate this. This boss sucks. I'm just constantly poisoned. There are targeted poisons that he sends out to the range people, and I was like, am I standing in these? Like, how come I'm taking such big damage to this? But this is like a mini boss / fortified boss, so it's a toughie. I'm not a huge fan of fortified because it makes the mobs hit harder and they're stronger. But but there's a reason that Blizzard made this the first tier, so it's probably harder later. Like if the boss is tyrannical or whatever, where it's like the boss version of that, that's definitely more mechanics to deal with. And the more mechanics, the less mental fortitude people have, and I'm talking about me, specifically in Theater of Pain. If those fights go too long, those fights are beastie, and I just start eating hits. So luckily, I'm pretty sure it's the Holy Paladin is getting down and doing the puzzle. I think I've popped something here. Now they all just fly away. Like if they were all just sitting there, like people are like pretty much on interrupts. It's my job as tank, not in a pug +3, but like as it gets higher, to have some method of calling them, even in a pug where we're not talking. And I'm going to come up with some sort of faster macro to mark ads. So it'll be like, skull X triangle or something like that. And I need a way of making that really fast. Right now it's my arrow keys, which is not fast because I have to take my hand off my mouse. I need something where I'm like running and assigning. And at the front of the dungeon, I'll basically look at who we have. And, if it's melee, they have more interrupts. And if it's range, they have less, of course. Or there's more time in between them. Right? We're talking about like interrupts per second here. I'll just assign. I'll be like, okay, Rogue, you're always Star. Me, I'm always Skull. And someone's always X. Or something like that, right? Just so that generally it's... Because what we'll normally do is kind of tunnel into one of the ads to kill them first, like priority target. But you still need a priority secondary interrupt. So like I don't do focus targets, but if you were so inclined, you would focus target the one I told you, and then you would just always have like, interrupt focus target while you're still tunneling DPS into the other one. My only job here is to interrupt Patty Cake, kind of help out with the Fox, and I'm solving this puzzle as tank. That's kind of like my job. So, and this one pretty quick to identify. That is the only one that is it filled in? I can't tell because I'm not looking at it. But anyway, at the time, I got a patty cake. I had solved it. So while for the maze, I really do consider it the healer's job, for this one, people follow the tank. And that's the way I think about it. So like this is my job. And I basically just, we double hodge the Fox, but so be it. And then I Divine Toll him. Or at least shield him. There's the Divine Toll. Yeah, just putting the deeps in for the Fox. We don't want that. Looking at this one, I don't know how I solved it that quick, but my brain was working at the time. And yeah, I'm basically making sure Patty Cake doesn't go off, helping CC the Fox, and solving the puzzle. And I mark it with Skull, and I just run my big paladin ass over there, and everyone knows to attack it. So I consider it healer's job to do the maze, and then my job to do this one. I just need to sit somewhere where I can see everything. That's Patty Cake. That goes off. That's a big bad. And rinse and repeat. The puzzle's the most stressful part because it's just like kind of a different mindset than normal. This one took me the longest, and it's the the flower back there, and I get frozen by the fox, but I CD out of it, or divine shield rather, which is my immunity and gets me out of trouble if I get stunned, which is pretty awesome. It's kind of like and in my case, it mass taunts, so like it's like inspires of ascension, like that worst case where like you double pull or you pull really big, but the stealth things get you. You can actually get out of it with divine shield. You can get out of the stun. You'll have immunity to damage for like 8 seconds or whatever. And because I talented, I'll also taunt everything. Because like if you get stunned on that kill, if they focus on anyone else, they will die in like 1 tick, 2 ticks of attacks. It'll be over. Like the auto attacks, especially in Fortified, you just are gone. So somehow the mage dies. I've never seen anyone die jumping off this, but I've always wondered. Now I have goblin gliders, so you could like, trick it into just falling off the edge of the world. And I have run this with, or was I running it? Or I've seen demon hunters do some pretty bananas things because they can just glide off of it, pull the backpack and like the pack past this one and then bring it back to this one. I don't think that's like a huge gain, but I've never seen anyone die, so pretty funny. So we are going to lean really heavily on our Shield of the Righteous. I don't have a shield right now. But with this pack, you're primarily stopping that. Stimulate regeneration. I'm not sure what it does. It probably heals everyone, something like that. All I know is that we kick it, and it's the stag horns that do it. And then other than that, these other ones are shooting acid at people, which is a pretty nifty dot that you'll see with a green circle. And they just need to not spread it to everyone else. So they need to kind of get out. I'm telling people that this is going to be like a cooldown burner, and I'm considering the double pull. You see that there's 2 packs, 2 staghorns plus the patrolling bird ones, and then last minute I decide never mind. We're not going to do that. This has been such a clean route. Okay, I got that interrupt. It's been so clean so far. I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to do it. And so I have an Avenger shield. Luckily for those 2, those can be hard to pull sometimes as prot, in my opinion. So we're just taking it slow. So I kind of hyped everyone up. I was like, this might be kind of dumb. But I was like, why wipe? Why wipe a run going so well? It's a low key. I basically wanted to double pull this and then just Shield of the Righteous sit and just see what numbers I was going to get. But then I was like, I thought better of it. I was like, this is going fine. If it was like a guild run, not that I'm in a guild at the moment that's doing Mythic Plus, or it was like friends and like we didn't care about a wipe and like we don't even need gear from it, that one got away. I don't know if that's my Hodge or someone else's. I think that was probably the Paladin's Hodge, or the H Paladin. But yeah, if it was like a casual group of people I knew and I was like, we're gonna try these double pulls, then I just want to test Shield of the Righteous, like how's my DPS. And I already know from running it before. I just wanted to record this one as a test. I was like, it pumps. It feels really good to shield, to immediately shield A shield, then S shield. I think is the way to think about it. Everything is a shield to it's either a hammer and shield is the name of this class. Everything's just a hammer or a shield. But quite happy. Well, I think that's 5 stack right into a shield. And what was that? 13k? No cooldowns. Or am I avenging wrathing? I'm not even avenging wrathing. I'm just like, that's just 11k, 10k, like, proper DPS for like that 1 minute. When the pack is the most dangerous and I need to get the most aggro, that shield bounces around, or I divine toll if I need it. Sometimes it procs back, and then we just uncapped like mega charge Shield of the Righteous. I don't check the stats in this one, but Shield of the Righteous, spoiler alert, is my top damaging spell, which is not usually the case. And then it's Avenger Shield and then Judgment, usually. But this uncapped Shield of the Righteous with the buff, like here it's going to go. Ready? Boom. That wasn't that many. But still, I spike up to 2nd in DPS, which is going to help in Mythic Plus. I think, like, Demon Hunter, I watched the replays. I was going to main Demon Hunter. And, like, it's the one. Like, Demon Hunter is the Mythic Plus tank. You just ninja around. You can, like, sigil people. You can grip them together. You can do so much. You see we're under count, but I basically plan this to do this usually now, is just to go over there and pull this. This is a pretty big pack, so we go over, right? That's a big pack with a Staghorn, but we don't go that far over. So we have a Gorger and we have the Staghorn, but, we're fine on this one. People are ready for the boss. This is I've been using Mythic dungeon tools, and this is my everything, my +9 and under route, right? Because we don't get prideful at 20, and it's really about just, I think, pulling something that's safe that doesn't require a shroud skip or something like that, and getting count in a reasonable way, right? It's mostly just getting count, and I'm really glad that prideful doesn't spawn before that, because like that's still hard enough for me. Like my Mythic dungeon tools right now is just routes that will get us count. That's it, right? And that's hard enough. And then when you get to 10, again, I didn't do this. I didn't do Mythic in BFA or in anything else. This is my first time. When we do +10, then I need to start designing routes that are kind of awkward, but that they time up the prideful buff in a place that essentially kills the boss. That's all I'm gonna do. And the tanks that I follow, that's what they're doing. And the tricky part with that, even with experienced tanks, experienced groups that I've been watching, is that any little mispull or wipe, right? And wiping on trash is not usually so bad. Like the run back's not too bad there. This run actually gets a little hairy. The mage ends up dying. And I think I would attribute it right now to the fact that I'm not trying to help with the ads. I'd watched runs, so it depends on the group, on the DPS, and we're kind of CC heavy here with a Frost Mage and a Hunter. Like, they can usually handle that stuff on their own, but that was my assumption, and I think that was a bad assumption, because I've actually never had this Mind Link thing happen before. And now I'm realizing, I'm like, okay, there's like 5 ads on the healer. I am probably not doing my job. I was just trying to focus on DPS, but I'm probably supposed to go get these larvas. Some groups I've been in, it's not been an issue, and I try to get them, and they're just dead before I get to them. So I guess it depends. Like if there's an Unholy Death Knight saving cooldowns for that phase or something. And I think what's happening is that Mind Link, that blue stuff, if you don't get far enough away from each other, you get mind controlled, and then I have to go kill you. But we do +2, which is a couple days ago, I was like, oh my god, +3, these are hard. But now I'm getting geared and doing it a lot. And generally, Pogs are geared too, so not too difficult. Am I second DPS? I think that's probably because I let the mage die. That's probably it. So a little bit tunneling the boss, and I probably should have gone for those ads. I mean, that's generally what you do. There's almost no fight where the tank shouldn't be like trying to destroy ads or pick them up. I think those ones are focusing. I get nothing, sadly. But I think in this one, they kind of just focus on whoever, so I can't really pick them up as much, but I can DPS them down. I got big deeps, big burst. And it's a Mythic 3, so it's 190. That's cool. That's a great trinket, low level. And someone got a conduit. But yeah, that's the legendary. I'm liking it. I'll see you on the next video.